Hey man, we just got a message from the ref. They wanted us to pass it on to you. They're letting us play today. And I'm going to be real with you. We need these points. We're going to bring it. So be ready.
Cool. We aren't.
What?
We're not going to bring it, I don't think.
What do you mean?
I mean, we don't really care that much, I guess.
What are you talking about? Every single one of your players keeps talking about how every point is crucial.
Yeah, they keep saying that, but...
You're literally only 2 points out of a playoff spot.
I know! Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy that you aren't interested in winning.
I mean, I'd like to win.
Then try.
Yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna.
Dude, how? Why? Is your coach... In what world would your coach allow this? He's going to chew you guys out.
Sacco? Pfft, no. He'd probably find a way to compliment us. Oh, that's a good idea. I'll talk to Swayman about trying to keep the goal total down.
That's ridiculous. There's no coach in the NHL is going to be remotely okay with.
Felt almost like a playoff game out there, and we have to find a way, obviously, to put one in the back of the net, get it behind the goaltender. We weren't able to do that today. Having said that, we only gave up one on the back-to-backs. The quick turnaround that we had from yesterday, I thought that the effort was there from the guys today.
See?
Well, damn. That is sad. Guess I'll see you guys next year. Wow.
Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins franchise. I am so deeply sorry. I'm like apologetic. I don't feel like I should bear any of the blame here, but I am deeply, deeply sorry if you watch that game. Holy moly. That was... I mean, there were pockets of things happening. There were for a moment, they... Wow, that sucked. That was, how do I say this and not sound like a total jerk? That was the most boring game of hockey I have watched this season. And I have watched every single Bruins game this season. That's just damning. You know what's crazy? I mean, you're not going to believe me after I just made that statement. A 1-0 finish doesn't bother me at all. I love goaltending. I love just the finesse of it all, the mental fortitude of it all. A 1-0 finish, hell yeah, brother. Sign me up. It's so intense. Any shot changes the game. You're locked in. I love those games that are 0-0 midway through the third period. If there's anything happening. And it wasn't until late in the game where there were even a couple scrambles, and even then it was just, I mean, maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe I'm being a grumpy Gus. Someone call me a grumpy Gus. Let me know if that's just me. I'm just a big dumb idiot. That's fine. Maybe I'm just a big dumb idiot. Like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. Discord. Check it out. People are jumping in. It's a lot of fun. The predictions contest. Heating up. And of course, the high quality inspectors. I greatly appreciate all of you. And also, this is in a little bit in the future, but we're going to have a sponsor for a video. Stay tuned on that. So, let's talk about this Wild team a little bit. And this game review is going to be real quick, and then we're going to talk about some game notes. This is the second meeting of the year with the Minnesota Wild, the last meeting of the year with them, I believe. That makes sense. Other conference should be the second game, last game. Swayman shut them down with a 36-save shutout the first week of February. So we traded shutouts. Yay. The Wild were my controversial pick for excellence this year. They were, you know how oftentimes when you're doing power rankings or anything, for any of you who do this kind of stuff, you have one guy up in like the top 12 to 15 where people are like, are you serious? Are you dumb? Well, they were my pick. They were my pick as to be way too high, and I got torched, just torched by a lot of people for putting them above the Bruins. I should have put the Bruins lower. I knew it in my soul of souls, but I wanted to be optimistic. I should have put them lower. I should have been the smart guy. That's okay. They were making me, Minnesota Wild, were making me look like a genius. Like just an absolute savant of IQ. The problem there is I also predicted the Lightning to miss the playoffs and for the Winnipeg Jets to be in the bottom 10. So if you ignore those, I am a genius at hockey. So smart. They are 4th in the league through the first 3 months of the season, largely due to their stellar defense and goaltending, but with an offense that could roll 4 lines and get the job done if it could ever get healthy is kind of the thing with them. Well, things got worse on that front, and as the injuries mounted, they've trailed off quite a bit. They've played basically 500 hockey over the last couple of months, basically since the new year, and they're just trying to get healthy because they are basically locked into a playoff spot. They would have to 500 hockey will still get them to the playoffs, I think, pretty soundly, and they're just hoping to be healthy at that point. I wouldn't say that they're the most affected team by injuries in the league, but they certainly have an argument for being one of the most impacted. And it's not just that they've had a lot of them. Most of their injuries are truly impactful. They have real players that have missed real time, none more important than, of course, Kaprizov, who is still out, although he should be coming back, I think, right? This was about the 4 weeks from when he had that procedure, if I have that right. I haven't kept up with the Wild that well. The good news for them is what I already mentioned, is they're basically locked into the playoff picture until April, and as long as they kind of maintain a basic sense of decent hockey, they'll be fine, and they should be relatively healthy at that point. They currently rank 23rd on the power play, 31st on the penalty kill, 22nd in goals for, and 13th in goals allowed. Kind of ugly, right? A lot of that's kind of ugly, but it's not indicative of the true talent of this team. They are still missing Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Bogosian, and Brodin. I think I'm missing one there. Oh, Hartman is still out for the suspension. I still feel like there's another injury that I'm missing, but we're going to move on. That's fine. This is a team in the Minnesota Wild, if they do get healthy, and say they fall into the wild card, something like that, 7th, 8th seed, they're a team that could go on a run, and people are like, wow, 7th, 8th seed? Like going on and you'd be sitting there going, no. When healthy, that team's like a top 6 team in the league, but they're never healthy. This is the thing about hockey sometimes. I think it goes with every sport, is somebody squeaks into the playoffs, and there were reasons, there were asterisks on their season as to why they landed so much farther down the standings than they should have. I can't speak right now. And then they look great in the playoffs, and everyone's just, whoa, and this wouldn't be a whoa. I expect great things for this team. I really do. I really expect the Wild to be a consistent playoff contending team for the next 5 to 10 years. I really love the amount of young talent that they have and how it's coming together. Anyway, I'm going to stop gushing over the Wild. They're a fun bandwagon team too, by the way, if you're really looking for that. The lineup for the Bruins: Geeky, Zakapasta, Merkulov, Lindholm, Coyle, Kepke, Patra, Brazeau, Veal, Beecher, Kostelic, Zadorov, Carlo, Lohrei, Peak, Wotherspoon, Mitchell, and then Swayman. What an opportunity for Merkulov. That line has been awful offensively for a while now. That second line of Marchand, Lindholm, Coyle. Barely doing anything. They've scored 2 5-on-5 goals, that lineup being out there in the month of February, which, to be fair, 2 weeks were off. But still, they haven't been good. But this is an opportunity for Merkulov, while working with the 2 problems on that line, because Marchand I didn't view as an issue there, to see if he can get some momentum and stick in the lineup. There's no update on Marchand yet. There will be more evaluation to come once they get back to Boston. He did travel with the team to Minnesota, though, which is at least a decent sign. Frederick, McAvoy, and Lindholm obviously still out. And the Bruins, the Boston Bruins, are 23rd in the standings in point percentage. A bottom 10 team. The reason I say that so cheerily is for those who are rooting on the tank and want that higher pick, boom. Silver lining, look at you go. Look at you go. Officially in those lottery odds. Yeah? Yeah? For the rest of us who just want to see them win, just take solace in the fact that the pick got better. You know? We'll see how it all ends, but with the injuries and the trade deadline, this team could really lose a lot of games. We've lost 6 of 7 as it is right now, but this could get worse before it gets better. Let's talk about this game a little bit, shall we? Puck drops! Yeah. There is one note I had about the first period. 9:48 in. Marcus Foligno and Kostelic. They shed him. For a long tilt with a plentiful amount of bombs thrown. Foligno will score the takedown. Basically, this fight stems from a few hits that have happened so far in the game where the refs were just not interested in calling. The refs were atrocious in this game, but they were atrocious both ways because barely anything was getting called for large portions of it. Honestly, I kind of liked that they were letting them play a bit. We're going to get to a geeky conversation in a little while here that kind of highlights this. But either way, that's the only thing that happened in the first, right? The refs were letting them play. Swayman wasn't very busy, but he was sharp. Kostelic was really active. Yeah, that's basically really low event hockey so far. Second period starts, and 5:01 in. We've seen a Bruins goal waved off already, but the puck clearly went in well after the whistle blew, and I understand why the ref blew it. The puck was underneath the goalie's pad. It looked frozen. He blew it, and then it got pushed in. I don't think this is even controversial. I don't think that was a good goal. So what happens here, though? The Bruins, I just brought that up as a side note, but at this time, the Bruins had a play going up ice, transition. Pasta tries to feed Geeky. The pass is ahead of him, and it skitters down behind the goal line. Now, Geeky is crossing the blue line into the offensive zone. And he stops skating. He's still moving forward, but there's no hustle. He just, and I don't mean like kind of. I'm like subjectively saying no. Objectively, the guy stops putting effort in and just listlessly comes up to the face-off dot on that left side. It ends up losing the race to that dot because the defenseman that was about a car length behind him initially, he caught up and he won the race. So they called icing, and Geeky's pissed. And I'm sitting there like, Kiki, no offense, but fuck you, dude. What do you mean? What are you complaining about? You stopped skating. Like, even if you had tied to the dot and they called it, dude, I agree with the ref. You just stopped. You weren't getting to the puck first, right? Like, you stopped skating. So, there's now a face-off in our zone with a pretty gassed top line. And the Wild are going to win the face-off. They're going to move the puck around the boards. And Geeky is going to be on the inside of the right circle. And he's got one hand just kind of gingerly holding onto his stick as like a lane blocker, right? Just getting into a passing lane, just holding out there. And as Spurgeon skates from the right point down to the net front, he's going to give a little tap on Geeky's stick and knock it out of his hands. Now, I know we've seen this called before, but I hate that call. And it is very much up to the discretion of the ref because I've seen this called and not called and called and not called through the whole season, the whole past couple of years. Hold on to your damn stick. It's not that complicated. And instead of going to go pick up his stick when it gets knocked out of his hands, he turns to the ref with his arms up. Well, the play gets moved up to his corner of the ice. He turns around to engage it, stickless, and it's going to get flung down. I forget who takes the initial shot to send it down on the net, but it's going to be Gaudreau, who is directly in front of Swayman. No one around him. It's going to deflect off his body and beat Swayman, who doesn't even get to see this puck because Gaudreau is right there. I have the name in here, I'm pretty sure. Johansson, I believe, took the shot. And that's going to beat Swayman blocker side. It's 1-0. And that is so very much on Morgan Elite Geeky. From the icing call to the play on the ice during the goal, that's him just flapping about. I think he should have been benched for at least a couple of shifts, which he might have been. I haven't actually gone back to double check. The lines are very weird in this one. They kept getting scrolled around. But that was just, you gotta care. And every single player, not to go off on a whole tangent here, but every single player in the Bruins locker room that has had a camera in their face since Sweeney went, nah, we're probably done. Cautious, you know. Every single player has said there's an excitement, a tension, an anxiety to bring our very best because every point matters right now. We have to grab that and use it as motivation. And there's an excitement to that when you're really fighting for your lives. If that's the sentiment that you're trying to portray, Geeky did a shit job at that, is I guess what I'm saying. It's because that sentiment means we are emptying the bucket every single shift. we'll move on, but you get my point. 6:17 in. The refs do decide to get involved a little bit here. Trennan's going to go for tripping. We're going to the power play. Geeky did have a few chances from the left dot. He had an open net one time. He was a little slow on another shot that Gustafsson made a really good save at. I don't want to give him too much flack on that, but Geeky had an open net that he flubbed the shot on. Just not a great Geeky game. I'm not hating. This was a bad one. If you watch this game, this is not a good Geeky game. 9:46 in. Merck is going to go for holding. There's mixed feelings about that call, but we're going to the penalty kill. 10 seconds left of the penalty kill. Nyquist just walks through Beecher and Carlo for a breakaway. Huge save by Swayman, who was excellent in this game. Beecher gets another 2 for hooking on this play. So it's 5v3 for 10 seconds and then another penalty kill for $1.50, 5-on-4. And we do kill both of those off. Going to the third period, you're down a goal. You've had low event hockey. You have not pushed the pace. I know you're on a back-to-back, but this is where the effort needs to come in. You have a chance to win a game where you're playing about 20 minutes, right? Gustafsson didn't steal this game. This game was lost by the forwards. They did not put enough pressure up. Anyway, third period. I have one note again. 4:49 in, trending for high sticking. We're going to the power play. We do nothing with it. There's some squirreliness at the end there. A couple chances in tight. Nothing comes of it. But that's just a game. That was just the game. That was it. Like, you lost 1-0. You'd think there'd be a certain level of excitement out with a whimper, not with a bang. We've lost 6 of 7. I mean, even if you're within shouting distance of a playoff spot, this is just ugly. This is so ugly. I pointed out years ago, this was, a year or 2 years ago, I don't remember, that the last 7 to 10 games of the season for a team that's locked into a playoff position, maybe not specifically where they'll be, but they're in the playoffs, don't really tell you anything. Because there are teams who have lost 7 straight going into the playoffs and gone on a deep run. There are teams that have won every game leading up in like an 8 to 10 games. They just a great streak and they lost in the first round. It just doesn't matter. So these small pockets of games, this is different because 7 games ago, this team knew where it stood right outside the playoff picture, and they had to make a decision for the trade deadline. Just consider this a game note. They had to make a decision for the trade deadline. And Sweeney is looking at his players, looking in the locker room, saying, you guys need to give me an answer. You either show me that, I should invest in this year's team, or show me that I shouldn't. Now, of course, it would be amiss to not mention, obviously, Lindholm never came back, and McAvoy being out, and now Marchand. I mean, let's not just gloss over that. But the team simply does not have it. And losing 6 of 7, to just further prove that point. Even with those players back, it's hard to see them solving every issue this team has to the point where they could truly compete with higher level teams, which means it's best to do a retool, right? That's just what it is. Again, a lot of injuries, but you have to show something. And losing 6 of 7, well, that told them well enough what they should do at the deadline, and that's pretty concrete at this point. Other game notes, Lohrei is looking better by the game to the point where he might be your power play quarterback on your top power play unit starting next season. We'll see what Lindholm can bring in camp, but Lohrai's going to have a chance at that job. If the new coach has any sensibility whatsoever, they will end the McAvoy on the top power play unit fiasco that it's been for years. I love McAvoy. I believe he's worth his contract. I think he is an elite number 1 right-handed defenseman. Just a franchise pillar of a defenseman. You can have a specialist on the power play and it not be him, right? I don't even think he's absolute dog shit in that position like a lot of people do. I don't think he's very good. But it's time to move to someone who, is truly built for that. And Lohrei is looking like a guy that really could be. Defensively, obviously, there's a lot to still be improved on with his game. But some of the moments he had in this one, he just looks great with the puck on his stick. No, I don't want to move him to forward. Pasta's streak has ended. Huge bummer. I was really enjoying that. So, that just sucks. The final game note, is also a huge bummer. Merkulov doesn't take advantage of the opportunity here. He doesn't have a great game, didn't have a terrible game, but doesn't have a good game. Made some tough decisions at times, made some good ones at others. Just a really mixed bag. Now, look, that second line wasn't doing crap before he got on it. And again, it's not like he was replacing Lindholm on the line or Coyle, where it's, oh, I'm working with Marchand, I have a chance to... He just ended up being another guy next to Lindholm and Coyle who are having objectively terrible seasons, and he couldn't boost them. I wouldn't expect him to boost them. I think he's a third-line NHL scoring threat. Like, that's his future on this team, and that's why I wanted him in the lineup, because our third lines have not been great for huge pockets of the season. All that being said, it is a bummer to see that he wasn't able to have any sort of signature moment in this one with the higher in the lineup play. Not a huge deal, not damning of the player. He was playing above his station with two other guys who are also currently playing above their station. That's basically where it is, right? Elias Lindholm looks like, at best, a very expensive 3C going forward. And Coyle, maybe injured? I don't know. Coyle's had such a weird year, because you could say all the stuff about how he's underperforming, which you'd be correct in, but every single one of us who have watched him for years have seen certain traits that have been persistent, regardless of the circumstances. His ability to possess a puck in the offensive zone and wait out defensive pressure coming at him to get the puck to a certain player to make a play. His ability to take a hit to make a play. His ability to rub somebody out against the wall to strip a puck. Those things have vanished this year. And it's probably partially his line mates all underperforming as well. But he's just not doing any of it anymore. It's hard not to think that something physically is wrong as well, right? Either that or his game has just fallen off a complete cliff. But I don't know. I think there's some sort of built-in excuse there to have it be this drastic of a change. To the point where, like, he's not even attempting the stuff he used to do. You know? Man, what a bummer of an ending. Still, though, there's silver linings. The team's looking at a higher pick with every loss. I'm not rooting for losses. I want this team to make a push. I really do. Obviously, the mushy middle isn't where you want to be. But I just love rooting for the team. I find myself happier when I root for them. Every fan has to do their own thing. I'm not telling you what to do here. But this was not a fun game to watch, in my opinion. I hope you had fun watching it, though. Go Bees. Go Bees! And of course, here at the end of the video, I love to give some shout outs to the fantastic high quality inspectors who help support the channel and keep this running. I super appreciate every single one of you, from the role player tier, the top line tier, and of course the all-star tier. We are going to do our shout outs for this top line tier. Thank you so much to Sean Kreider, Michael Kamara, Chris and Erica, Kevin Timperley, Quackin' Platypus, JM, Negev79, Lola Cattingsworth, EKM Productions, Moonlighter TV, Big Bad Bruin, The Bugman, Jeff with a G, Tommy Braga, Roland22, GD Viperworks, Len Kreutz, Brock Nope, Han Slobo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Brett Arney, Pincent, and Nick Zatrullo. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Your top line material. But now we got to move on to our all-star tier members, the absolute legends. We have Jacob Pratt, Jake Brower, Dampen, JG's 12, Mark S., Ann Hustis, Lorenzo Wood, Penny Pasta, Levi Catalani, Boston Stringler, Bagel, Nightmare Eco, John Kirk, Joel, Heil E. Coyote, Darren Woodbury, Abraxion, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adrian Winter, Tupton D. Tashi, Bruin Smash, D.A. Kingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Dutes42, and Jeremy. Thank you all for all of the support and love that you are all giving. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, Go Bees!